Hello, everybody. I am back, and I have a new weapon video for you guys. It's been a while. I had the best of intentions with the Edge of Fate, but the Edge of Fate was the Edge of Fate. And, things happened the way they happened. I'm back, though. The passion has returned, however much it has, and I want to talk to you guys about a machine gun today, the Bitter End Arc machine gun from the Equilibrium dungeon. This dungeon is stacked with incredible weapons, and I think, for me personally, Bitter End is right up there at the top, maybe number 2, at least top 3 for me in the dungeon, because it is the most fun machine gun I have used in a long time. We've had really good legendary machine guns in recent history, like Corrective Measure, and those are great. I still think Corrective Measure is, in all likelihood, the best legendary machine gun in the game still to this day, despite it not being part of the new tier system. All that being said, though, I think Bitter End might be a close second. It is a heat weapon. It is a 900 RPM weapon. And there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with this weapon that I think make it more viable than most legendary machine guns. I want to be clear. I want to preface up front. I am not telling you to bring 6 of these into an epic raid or into a 5 feet dungeon and meme DPS with it. That's not what I'm saying. I am not telling you that Bitter End is a DPS machine gun. It is not. No machine gun is really, with the exception of maybe a Thunderlord or contextually Grand Overture. That doesn't mean that we can't have fun with a machine gun, and that also doesn't mean that a machine gun can't be viable in some of these endgame encounters. Specifically, I was running this as part of my kit on my solo flawless run of the Equilibrium dungeon. I had my Mint Retrograde, I had my Antidate SMG, but when it came to reliably taking down the hands, when it came to having to pick off an enemy in the distance who could have killed me, throwing fire or something like that, being able to pull out my Bitter End, quickly take out the hands, take out that enemy at range in a way that my SMG couldn't, or in a way that maybe I couldn't with Mint Retrograde because I had just left a DPS phase. Having the flexibility to be able to use this weapon the way I can use it is refreshing. And it made me feel safer. I specifically changed my build so that I could run this machine gun. I had failed my build. I was trying augers, I was trying so many other things, and I just couldn't get a build that I was in love with. Every build that felt right for that final encounter had Bitter End in it. So take that as you will. Barrels don't really matter to me on this weapon. That is a personal taste type of thing on this weapon. It's so strong. It has a high base stability at 83. My particular roll has chambered compensator, which I have it at a 99 stability. It is a laser beam. It just does not want to move. It feels incredible. So if I have any recommendation, it would be to prioritize stability just so you can enhance that feeling. Short of that, maybe reload speed, maybe handling. Range doesn't really move the needle on machine guns as much as people would like it to, so I don't really prioritize that. Also, you don't really need to be using it that deep, though I will say, in the Lawless Frontier, this thing shreds invaders. So if you're looking to counter invade, this machine gun is incredible. And, having a little bit more range in that specific scenario could help just with reticle stickiness is the word I'm trying to say. So keep that in mind if that is your intended purpose for this weapon. As far as batteries, it kind of starts and ends with ionized heatsink. The reason being is ionized heatsink will reduce the heat this weapon generates while firing. Being able to fire longer means being able to damage longer. Being able to continue to clear ads longer. It doesn't seem like a lot initially when you see a -2 heat generation. In practice, though, it is a game changer, and I think any heat-based weapon that is at least a rapid-fire heat-based weapon, I think ionized is kind of the only choice, whether it's this, whether it's the Fast Talker. They changed the way those weapons feel, and I would not go any other direction other than ionized, personally. There are other great options. You will find one that fits the way you want to play, but if you get ionized, I'm not looking any further. Third column choices are going to be dependent on what you want to do in the fourth column. The primary build that I have been using with this weapon, the one that I was looking for that I did finally get, was Trickle Charge and Killing Tally. This is the role that I brought with me into the dungeon for the solo flawless. Trickle Charge is an incredible perk to have on a heat-based weapon. Receiving Bolt Charge refills 10% of the magazine. So just getting stacks of Bolt Charge refills the mag. Discharging Bolt Charge refills 20% of the mag. That's assuming you're using ammo-based weapons. On heat-based weapons, it dissipates 100% of your heat. Boom. Done. Back to zero every time you drop a bolt charge. That is huge. That is genuinely massive on a weapon like this, especially if you are like me and playing an Arc Titan, because it means you can effectively fire almost the entire reserves. On average, I can get anywhere between 60 and 40 rounds remaining from an over 400 round reserve through a DPS phase, or at least until the weapon cycles through, until my barricade goes away, and I do have to manually dissipate that heat. I fire 90% of that mag on average. Again, it's not something that we're talking about a heavy DPS weapon. We're not talking about going into Korrigas and using this to kill the epic raid boss. What we are talking about, though, is versatility. Being able to pull this out with something like my particular role has Killing Tally. Being able to pull this out with Killing Tally, or to quickly earn Killing Tally, getting a 30% damage buff that doesn't go away until you either dissipate the heat or stow the weapon. You don't have to dissipate the heat with Trickle Charge. Just stand behind a barricade and generate Bolt Charge and watch your heat go away. You can fire this thing. Again, it feels like forever. You just lay down the trigger, whether you're clearing ads, whether you're dealing damage to champions, whether you're dealing damage to bigger enemies, mid-tier enemies. In an extreme scenario, you can use this to DPS the boss. If you're mixing it in, you dumped your Mint Retrograde and now you still have time, you can pull this out, drop your barricade, and just start firing. It's not going to be peak damage numbers, but it is better damage numbers than not having it to fire at all, and being able to, again, just lay down the trigger on that, or get yourself out of an emergency situation by having a machine gun, something that can quickly kill most enemies from a very comfortable range. This was my saving grace more often than not in my flawless run, because this thing just allowed me, I could come around a corner if I was getting shocked through a wall, where my SMG couldn't quite get the damage or couldn't quite lock onto the hands as effectively as I wanted it to. The machine gun always got the job done. Bitter End always saw me through. I don't think I would have cleared at least as easily without it. I have no regrets bringing this weapon in, and I love Killing Tally on machine guns in general. It's so good on machine guns. It's a perfect perk. Getting 30% extra damage is just awesome. If you want to go a more ad clear direction, or at least more ad clear prioritized, if you're running something like the Praxic Blade, that makes having an ad clear machine gun so much more viable, because your Praxic Blade can be an effective DPS weapon in the right scenarios. It can be an effective weapon for killing orange and yellow bars. It's such a good weapon at close range, but sometimes you just need something that's going to go a little further, or just kill a lot of ads really quickly, and you don't have the opportunity to slash around. Maybe you're near an edge, maybe something else is going on, and you say, hey, you know what? I need my gun right now. Pull out the bitter end, wipe the room clean. It's awesome. It is an incredible weapon. For that, Jolting Feedback is maybe my favorite perk. It takes 16 rounds to proc on a machine gun, 11 when you are amplified. And if you're using this to ad clear, you will become amplified very quickly, which means that every 11 shots is applying another stack of jolt, which is killing more ads, applying additional damage that your allies can take advantage of with their weapons. And the other nice thing about Jolting Feedback is it doesn't really care what you have in the third column. There's a ton of great options. Gutshot straight sticks out if you're just using it for ad clear. Precision probably doesn't matter if you're shooting a bunch of red and orange bars. Get a little bit of an extra damage boost there. Having something like Delicate Tuning can help if you're keeping your heat low for the most part. You're getting additional range, handling, and accuracy. Attrition Orbs is always a fantastic pick, being able to heal off of that, being able to generate more super off of that, being able to generate armor charge off of that is huge. Eddy Current, sticking to the simple stuff, especially because you're going to be amplified, having that faster heat dissipation. There's a lot of great options in the third column if you are looking to use this strictly as a machine gun that you're using to ad clear. If you want the opportunity to DPS with this weapon, Jolting Feedback can do that and can be effective in different ways. I would still recommend Killing Tally in that scenario, maybe short of that, Frenzy, because you do get the faster heat dissipation with that reload bump. So it's not my number one pick there. I would always recommend Killing Tally if you have the opportunity to kill ads prior to any kind of damage phase. That would be the direction I go if you intend to use it for any amount of damage dealing. Otherwise, Jolting Feedback is the pick. For me, that's it. That's kind of where the buck stops. And again, if you have Jolting Feedback, especially paired with like Ionized Heat Sink, your third column doesn't matter. It's all personal preference or just what feels right. And with the tier 5, if you've got Jolting, you've got 3 viable options in there no matter what you have. Even if you still have Trickle Charge, still a great option because you're applying that jolt continually. This is just a purely fun weapon. These heat-based weapons are so interesting, and I really want to see Bungie do more with these, and especially with something like Trickle Charge. I hope this is a perk we continue to see in the future, but especially on other heat-based weapons, I could imagine a Trickle Charge linear or something along those lines that can, or a Trickle Charge grenade launcher if they ever decided to go that direction, like an energy GL. There are so many interesting ways Trickle Charge can make these heat-based weapons really, really cool. And I, one, hope that they continue to make and, expand on heat-based weaponry. But 2, I really want to see what comes of Trickle Charge. If this is just like a flash in the pan, like, yeah, we're going to do this and then it never again because it's really strong. Or if they're going to continue to put this on weapons going forward. Because being able to reload just off of a bolt charge, most teams in endgame content are running at least one Titan, especially in like raids. You have a Titan with a bolt charge barricade. You almost always have that. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with that. I'm a huge fan of machine guns. I think Bitter End is maybe the most fun that you can currently use in the game. It is maybe not the number 1 machine gun in the game as far as legendaries go, but this is definitely the one I'm having the most fun with. I love 900 RPMs. They're not the best damage dealers. I still think 600 might actually be kind of the peak frame, the aggressive frames. they've finally surpassed those 450s in my mind, but this one feels real good. I like it a lot. So highly recommend you hit the dungeon, and if you can get one of these, either with Killing Tally or with Jolting Feedback, or Rolling Storm, cannot not mention that. Rolling Storm is a great option if you want to use the Trickle Charge build without a Titan Barricade. You will have to dissipate Bolt Charge on your own, so you'll have to throw a grenade or like a ranged melee or something to dissipate that Bolt Charge. That will still reload the weapon. So if you're not an Arc Titan using the Storm's Keep, Rolling Storm is actually probably the number 2 option I would recommend if you want something that you're going to continually dish out damage. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention that. Rolling Storm is probably the number 2 pick if damage is your priority. So do keep that in mind. But that's going to be the video today. I appreciate everybody watching. This has been fun. Getting these weapons, and it's really kind of inspired me to want to come back and make videos like this. I do have plans for some other weapons I'd like to talk about, some other things that I'd like to talk about. If you guys are at all interested in like the overarching like feeling of the game that I have right now, you know, I can do a video like that. I didn't want to soapbox or anything in this one. That's not what's important to Bitter End. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. If there's a specific weapon that you guys want me to highlight sooner than later, also please let me know so I can try and work on that for you. But otherwise, thank you so much, as always, for watching. Please, like the video if you liked it. Hit that subscribe button if you're feeling it. And I will hopefully catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.